All right. So, boys and girls, you remember that Moses was when he was on that mountain. God was explaining to him that something very, very special, that he was going to live with his people. He was going to dwell with his people. His spirit would be in a place called the tabernacle. And then God told Moses exactly how to make it. There were two wonderful things about this tabernacle. One was that God's glory would be in it. And the second one was it would tell the people that sin could be forgiven. Every day they had to kill an animal and put it on the altar, and there was blood flowing. So the people knew sin is a terrible, terrible thing. Something has to die. That blood of those animals did not take care of their sins, but it pointed forward to Jesus. Jesus is the one who takes care of them. So when Moses came down, he said to the people, we are going to make a beautiful tabernacle because God is beautiful and God loves beautiful things. And he said to them, we need to have gold and silver and very beautiful cloth, and we need gems, and we need special spices for the incense. He told all the kinds of people, he said, whoever wants to give some, you can come and give it. And this is the wonderful thing, boys and girls. They didn't say, no, I got this nice cloth from the Egyptians, I'm keeping it. No, they didn't. So many people came and they said, here they are. Here's my gold. Use it for the tabernacle. Here's my ruby. Use it for the tabernacle. Here's my nice cloth. Use it for the tabernacle. Here's my goat's leather. Use it for the tabernacle. And pretty soon, Moses also said there's two people that God made very, very handy, very skillful, that could make beautiful things. Their names were I think it was Baal-Zeab, and there was Aholiab. They were so good, and they were good at explaining to people how to weave beautiful cloth. And after a while, they said to Moses, you better tell the people to stop giving because we have too much stuff. We have so much stuff that we can't make it. So then they began to make that tabernacle. And they made it, boys and girls, so that there was 3 parts. There was one big outer court where the people could go. I think the people can go, and I should check that out. It was about as big as 2 of our gyms together. You think of how big our gym is? About double of that. Not quite. But then the actual tabernacle, only the priests were allowed in it. Actually, I think it's only the Levites are allowed in here too. I'll have to check that out. But the tabernacle was, let's see, it would be from here to, the end of this room, but much longer. And then the very back, boys and girls, was a perfect cube. This is not a perfect cube. It means it's exactly square. So this was the outer part, and there was all great big curtains. Can you think why they would have curtains and not like walls, like brick and things like that? Can you think why? I'll tell you why. The reason why they needed that is because they were on this big journey. And every time, boys and girls, every time they went somewhere, they had to take this tent down. They had to take the tabernacle with them. Remember, there was this big cloudy pillar, and that would tell the people it's time to move on. So they had to take it all down. They had to take all the curtains down. And you know whose job it was to do that? The Levites. It was their job to take it down. And then they would have to, certain Levites would carry this part and some would carry that one. Some of them had wagons and they would put them on the wagons. And that way they could take it all down and they could put it all back up. So they were all these beautiful curtains, and they made them beautiful. They were blue and purple and scarlet, and they had wonderful angels embroidered on them. They were so beautiful. And in this one here, only the priests would go. So this part here, boys and girls, this part here was there was a table right here, a special table, and all the furniture was overlaid with gold. And they would put every Sabbath day, they'd put new fresh bread. They would put 12, one for every one of the tribes of Israel. And then on this one was a beautiful lamp. And remember, that was also pointing forward because Jesus is the bread of life. It's Jesus who gives us life. This one here had a beautiful menorah, a candle, a light. There were 7 branches that came out. It was also all gold. And that was a picture that Jesus is the light of the world. It always was, there was always a fire in it, always. And then up here was the altar of incense. It had beautiful smelling stuff would be in it. And the ashes would go up. It was a picture of our prayers going up to God. Down here was the big altar that they did the animals on. That's where the animals are. And then here was a big bowl where they would wash everything. And then this part here, this is called the holy place. Let's say that. The holy place. A little louder. The holy place. The holy place. And this was called the most holy place. Can you say that? The most holy. And in this one, there was an ark. The ark was about, let me see, it was probably about this big. And it was also completely beautiful. You could open up. It was like a chest. And inside that chest, they had a little jar of manna. And they also put the rod later on. And they put the 10 Commandments in there. And then this was in this room here. And on top of it was a mercy seat with some angels, gold angels that would be putting their wings to each other. I'm going to show you a little video in a minute and you'll see it. And all of these things had, and the ends of it, they all had little loops. So that when the people carried them, they would put a pole through the loops and then they would hold them like this. And they were always covered. So the people did not even see the ark. Only one person was allowed to go into this most holy place. Only one person. Only one time in a whole year. It was the high priest, who was Aaron. He was the high priest. He was allowed to go in one time. And he had little bells on the end of his robe so that when he went in, everyone could hear him go in. And everybody could hear him go out. And he would put the sacrifice, it was at a special day. He would ask, Lord, please forgive the sins of this people. He would put blood on top of this ark. And then he would go out again, only one time a year. But when Jesus died, there was this big curtain. There was curtains all around here. And these were all curtains. And these were curtains. And this was a very special curtain here that nobody could go in. Not even any of the other priests or the Levites could go in there. But when Jesus died, do you know what happened to that curtain? God ripped it from the top right to the bottom. And that was a sign that Jesus has made the access to God completely clear. And we can go to Jesus no matter what, not just the high priest, but all of us, all the time, because that's what Jesus did.